rallyfm.net.
Is 2009, and if today provides anywhere near the level of excitement, intrigue and thrill as yesterday, it will end for an excellent day's sport here at the Caribbean's biggest annual international motorsport event. Yesterday was a day of drama, more for some people than for others, and I think probably the first thing to do for those of you who actually were sensible enough to go home and go to bed last night, rather than sitting surfing the internet and looking at www.rallybarbados.bb to get the latest results. I will give you the overnight top 10 and then a little bit of a run through what happened yesterday. Malvern, did you say Malvern has already run once this morning, and I've got some times from that stage earlier on. The zero car is sitting at the start of this stage. Yes, we are a little bit late. There was a 15-minute delay leaving the start at Bushy Park this morning after one or two minor disagreements about the overnight reseeding, and I think we've slipped just a few minutes more, but it's just after 8:45 now. We were due to start at 8:25, and my impression is that we're not going to be too far from now. We've already seen our 000 car, our 00 car is now here, and as I say, the Lancer GT near Barnard at the Royal Albert, our zero car, is sitting at the start of the stage. Overnight top 10. So right about this 2009 being led by last year's winner Chris Meek, along with his Northern Irish co-driver Paul Nagle. Their total elapsed time 34 minutes 13.47 seconds. Lying in second place overnight, Paul Bird and Ian Windlass, who finished second to Meek last year, 34.60, so 21 seconds the overnight gap between the two. Lying in third place, Kevin Proctor and Dave Bellaby from England, 35.13.25, so they're another 48 seconds or so behind Paul Bird, and you have to get down to fourth place in the overnight results before you find a local driver. Paul Bourne and Stuart Maloney lying fourth, 35.19.94, just 7 seconds or so off Proctor, and I would think that means the surfer is going to be pushing hard from the get-go this morning. Fifth, Trevor Manning, 35.27.54, after having had a last-minute scare at the back end of yesterday with a drive shaft failure in between what ended up being the two consecutive Canefield stages because the penultimate dark hole was cancelled. In sixth place is Geoffrey Pampton and Mike Fennell from Jamaica, 35.32, another 5 seconds behind Manning. Seventh is Roger Hill and Graham Gittins, a bit disappointed that the uphill Canefield on which he set his best time of the day was subsequently cancelled as a result of Roger Skeet's accident. He's in seventh place on 35.33.02, eighth and highest placed two-wheel drive car, Ian and Robert Warren in the Suzuki Swift, 36.33.79, ninth, Barry Gale and Sherry Edgell recovering from a morning of punctures and lack of intercom. They're on 36.36.73, and the top 10 is completed by the leader of Modified 8A, Neil Armstrong, and Barry Ward in their Shelby Power Evo, 36.44.42, having picked up 4 seconds or so of penalties during the day. There's been a tremendous battle since the start of So Rally Barbados for the overall lead. Roger Skeet came out of the box quickest on the opening stage of the day to lead Paul Bird and Chris Meek. Chris Meek, of course, having had very little time in this Impreza S9 as a result of its clutch problems at Shelby Power King of the Hill last weekend. So really, until he got into that first stage, Meek hadn't had an opportunity at all to get the feel of the car. Although, as he said, talking to us yesterday, S9s, S10s, S11s are all fairly similar to one another. They all have a similar sort of feel. But it took him a little while to get into it. He was then fastest on the second and third stages, with Skeet second and Bird third on each occasion, but Skeet was managing to keep Meek in check and retained the lead until stage 6. When a problem with starting the car in service resulted in him going OTL and therefore no longer in the overall running of the event. So at lunchtime yesterday, the positions, the top 3 were Chris Meek, 17 seconds ahead of Paul Bird, in turn 22 seconds ahead of Paul Bourne. That was after 6 stages. 8 were scheduled for yesterday afternoon. 2 were cancelled. 1 because of the aftermath of Roger Skeet's accident at the end of Canefield. No one was injured in that incident. Incidentally, I gathered that some rumours were floating around. Certainly 1 or 2 people called me and said, we've seen on source that somebody was hurt. Well, nobody was injured in that accident, thankfully. Albeit Mr. Skeet's car looked a little battered and the gate he hit didn't look too well either. The 0 car is just sweeping through the chicane up there in front of us. So we're going to be underway with all action Red Bull Kendal in just a few moments. During yesterday afternoon, Skeet was fastest on the first 3 stages of the afternoon. Chris Meek suffered a rather alarming drama on the opening dark hole when he found some spectator four-wheel drives wandering around on the stage. He stopped to try and warn oncoming spectators, oncoming competitors, and cost himself a bit of time there, but he was given a booked time for the stage, so he retained the lead. And subsequent to Roger Skeet's retirement on stage 10, Chris Meek was then fastest on the remaining dark hole and the 2 Canefields, and he leads overnight by 21 seconds. Paul Bird was in the top 3 on all of yesterday's 12 stages that count, and it took until the very last stage of the day for Paul Bourne to appear in the top 3 times at any point during the day on a stage. And as I say, he starts today 6 or 7 seconds behind Kevin Proctor, and that will be the first target that Paul Bourne will be gunning for. It's not just the overall battle that's good. Group M has been brilliant over the weekend so far as well, with 3 different drivers setting fastest stage times in Group M, and 2 of them having led Group M at one point or another. Jeff Knoll, who finished second in Group M to Ryan Champion last year. He's leading Group N overnight, but only by 3 seconds from England's Rob Swan, with John Powell of Trinidad oblique Jamaica, depending on which of his passports you look at. He's lying in 3rd place at the moment. He had been leading early on during the day for 5 or 6 stages, but a problem that we haven't actually yet identified for John Powell in the early part of yesterday afternoon has dropped into 3rd. He's 43 seconds behind Rob Swan, but he's made up 15 seconds over the last 5 stages of yesterday. I am asked to remind all of you who are on the side over there by the duck pond that there are A, ducks and B, eggs around, so do please tread carefully and show due respect to the ducks. After all, it's their pond, not ours. So I'm looking up the hill, expecting any second now. I know that the 0 car will need to have cleared the finish of the stage before the first car comes through. Drivers reseeded in the overnight order. We haven't yet managed to get a start list for the Sunday Cup, because remember, those competitors who failed to finish yesterday can, if they've laboured hard and long during the night to glue their cars back together again, can come out again and compete in the Sunday Cup. A separate top 3 trophies are available for that, and I'm sure that there will be a very large number of people who do. The overall classification overnight included only 47 of the cars that started the event yesterday. There were still about 70 running because various people had missed stages, and once you miss a stage, you're no longer considered for an overall finishing position. If you're a local driver, however, and you're competing in the Barbados Rally Club Virgin Atlantic Class and Drivers' Championships, then so long as you complete 2/3 of the stages that are run, you will still be considered for class points in the Virgin Atlantic Class Championship.
rallyfm.net